Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Today we have another top 10 list for you as we wrap up the year 2020 here on my channel. In today's video, we're going to check out the top 10 cards that I purchased this year throughout the year of 2020. Now, this is going to be from a variety of sources. These could be cards that I picked up at card shows. These could be cards that I found at local card shops. These could be cards that I found online, whether that's eBay or Facebook, or cards I found at flea markets or other just random places throughout my travels this year. So these are all cards that I bought myself. None of these cards, I believe, none of these cards is over even like a $40 or $50 card. So I know some people can go out there with a bigger budget and can absolutely knock out some amazing cards when they go to shows and shops. That's not really the way I've been doing it this year, or the way I have been doing it really ever, to be honest. So these are all kind of lower budget pickups by me, although I still really enjoy them. And in fact, in my opinion, sometimes it's kind of the story behind the card that is almost as enjoyable as the card itself, and it helps to make the card much more valuable, just because there's a neat story that goes behind it. So before we get too far into it, a few that did not quite make my top 10 that I at least wanted to show. This is from a card store, the Adley Rutschman First Bowman Chrome. I really think he's going to be good when he comes up. Pick that one up. I like searching for just those First Bowman prospect cards. Here's some from Jared Kelenics that I found earlier in the summer. First Bowman of Kelenic, who I hope is going to be very good for Seattle. A card that I probably wouldn't expect anyone else to have on a list like this is this Mike Moustakas card that I found for probably 50 cents or $1 at a card show. More so for what it means for Kansas City fans. Obviously, if there's any Royals fans, you know exactly what this moment is. It's in the 2014 playoffs when the Royals had finally made the playoffs. This is in the divisional round after they'd won that insane wild card game against Oakland. This is their first round opponent in the divisional series against Baltimore. You can see this guy wearing a J.J. Hardy jersey right there. And Mike Moustakas leans over the kind of railing there to catch a foul ball. And it was just kind of an iconic moment as the Royals swept Baltimore. They swept the Angels and swept their way to the World Series, where eventually Madison Bumgarner did what he did to knock them out of the playoffs and win the World Series in Game 7. But that's just an iconic moment for any Kansas City Royals fan. So to find that's the gold parallel of it, numbered out of 2015, because obviously it was the 14 playoffs, and then it got on a card in 2015. But that's just an iconic card. And then this one, Randy Arozarena. I don't even know if I paid $3 for this. In fact, I know I didn't. This was on a Facebook group I belonged to, and I just picked this up because I thought it was cool. I picked this up before the World Series and before the playoffs when he went absolutely bonkers. And so to get this kind of red parallel, it's in one of these. Are these like the Pokemon sleeves? I don't even know what those are. This red parallel, ruby red parallel of the rated rookie of Arozarena. I didn't even know that I had purchased that. And then when the cards came in the mail, I'm like, oh, wait, I got that card? And obviously it went nuts whenever around the World Series there. So those are some honorable mention ones, not in the top 10. Okay, to start my top 10 list, we're going to work our way back in numerical order here. Number 10, I have two cards that are kind of joined together for me. This PSA 4 of 1960 Topps Don Drysdale, and this LeBron James, an old school Topps LeBron James. Looks like that's Gary Payton in the background. Alonzo Mourning. I don't know what's up with those Miami Heat jerseys, but this is like a fourth year LeBron card. These cards were some of the favorite in the number 10 spot this year. I picked them up. My wife and her mom were just happened to be going shopping one day, and they saw a random sign that said, hey, sports cards. And they told me about it, and I went back the next day, and it wasn't even like a show. It was just like a guy had a garage sale who had actually shut it down. And anyway, the guy opened up his display again because he's really shut down for the day, and he had these cards and gave me a really good price on them. I think I paid like $20 for the whole lot of cards. These were the two big ones in there, and he just was a super nice guy, a guy who had worked his whole life and had kind of owned some houses in the area and helped people rehabilitate their lives after they'd been on troubled times, and he was just a super nice guy to sit down and talk to. That was right, I guess it was right towards the beginning of the spring, so that was a pretty cool pickup. It has a neat story behind it just because it wasn't from a normal source. I just drove up to this guy's house, and I could tell that he had a garage sale that yard sale that he had set up the day before that was no longer there, and luckily he walked out and Actually, the guy who lived there walked out and said, "Oh yeah, this is my landlord. He was selling cards yesterday. I'll give him a call." So the guy drove down and opened his collection back up to me to buy some. Okay, in the number 9 spot, a card that was purchased at one of the more recent card shows. This is the Robert Pawson from Panini Elite Extra Edition. You can see he just signed his last name there. It wasn't even the $15 price tag. He gave me a nice discount on it. International prospect here, Robert Pawson, who obviously was one of the big names in Bowman this year, along with Jason Dominguez and Bobby Witt Jr. This is from 2017 Panini Elite Extra Edition, and I hope he has a nice progression through his career throughout the Oakland organization to get his autograph, a sticker autograph, but still pretty cool for a really nice price. I don't even remember what I paid for it, $10 or something like that. It was pretty cool. Okay, another card that I searched for quite a bit, just because Bowman was so hard to find, were Bobby Witt Jr. First Bowman Chromes. And I really could include a lot of Bobby Witt Jr. cards because I picked up the Bowman Draft cards. I picked up a couple other ones, the Bowman Mojo cards from like the Bowman Chrome and the Mega Packs and just regular Bowman Chrome. But I'm really hoping Bobby Witt Jr. can be that number 1 prospect in the organization, number 2 prospect in the organization to hopefully turn things around for the Royals in the infield and help them bring their offense and bring their team back into playoff contention. So it was fun this year searching out Bobby Witt Jr. cards. I was able to find them in various places. They weren't too incredibly hard to track down, especially in this area, but I always enjoyed picking those up whenever I was able to find them. Okay, so there are 10, 9, and 8. Here's the number 7 card that I found. This was at a card show in the summer. I believe this is the first card show after everything had kind of closed down for COVID. This Luis Robert the Man insert rookie card. I believe this is out of Topps Finest. Yes, it's out of Topps Finest from this year. Picked this up from one of my favorite dealers, and he gave me a pretty good price on it as well. And so I jumped on this Luis Robert. I just really love the design of these The Man inserts. One of my favorite inserts of the year. Topps Finest is not a product that I actually purchased myself, as it is kind of a little higher end, but he just happened to have that card in there in his display, and I grabbed it, and that is just a really cool design and a really cool looking card. Kind of throws me back to those old Fleer Ultra inserts, you know, those mid-90s Fleer Ultra inserts. So that is on my list for that reason. So we've done 10, 9, 8, and 7. Here's number 6. This card it's almost embarrassing. I bought this card from the same guy who I bought the Luis Robert card from. This was at the first card show of the year, way back at the beginning of 2020. I believe it was the very first show I went to in January. I purchased this, which is the Bowman Draft Wander Franco. You can see on the back, BDC, Bowman Draft Chrome, Wander Franco. And neither one of us even knew that this card was a short print whenever we purchased it. I bought this card just because I was looking to get Wander Franco cards, and I saw it in his display, and I believe there's a Chris Paddock in there as well that I had grabbed onto. And I just bought this card, and it wasn't until I came home, made a video, and then somebody in the comments is like, "Hey, that Wander Franco is a short print, man." I'm like, "What?" And neither one of us knew. And so I probably ended up getting a steal of a deal because I don't know how rare the short prints are in Bowman Draft, but neither one of us had any idea that was a short print. And so that was just a card that has a pretty neat story about it, because it wasn't until a viewer of my channel made a comment that said, "Hey, that card's a short print," that I even realized it. So that's my number 5 card. It's got a cool story to it. Okay, my top 5, or sorry, that's my number 6 card. That's my number 6 card, excuse me. The top 5, here we go. In the number 5 spot, I have 2 cards kind of sharing, kind of like I have here with LeBron and Don Drysdale. I have these 2 cards both sharing the number 5 spot, these Topps Home Run Derby Challenge cards. Now, you can see here that I won with these 2. I also lost by about like 5 or 6 other, maybe even 7 other players. But it was really fun this summer to go search for these, Topps Home Run Derby cards. You could find them, the Home Run Derby challenges, at card shops for 50 cents or $1. You could find them at card shows for 50 cents or $1. And so you're able to pick up these cards that are kind of rare inserts out of Series 1 and Series 2, and then take them home and try to pick a date that you think someone is going to hit a home run. You can see here I won with Tatis in September, numbered out of 433. And then I won with Mookie Betts in September as well, numbered out of 412. And so 2 pretty big names, obviously, in the MLB. And these are my winning cards for picking the date that they would hit a home run. And the purple signifies they're from September. There's a different color, I believe, for the people who won in other months of the MLB season. So I hope they bring that back next year because that's just really fun, and it's pretty easy to find those cards and find them in card shows or card shops. And then I like picking that day and trying to research and figure out who you think is going to be the best person for them to hit a home run off of. So those are my number 5 cards. Number 4 is an old school card. It's not super old school, but it took me back to whenever I first started collecting. This is the Ken Griffey Jr. Topps Traded 1989. This is a PSA 9. The person I bought this from is a person I picked up quite a few autograph cards from this year. Has a nice collection of vintage cards and then some even newer cards, and I focus more on the newer cards. This was a really cool one to pick up because I never had this card as a kid. The Topps Traded was not a set that I had in 1989, and so to get this card in a PSA 9 condition, Griffey just continues to be one of my favorite players. And even though the stars have kind of faded on maybe some of those other 90s superstars, whether it's Canseco or Bonds or McGuire due to various reasons, Griffey seems to still have a pretty big name in the hobby and still be beloved among fans, and has kept his image clean, and that's just a cool card. I also, throughout the summer, I found one of these. I actually did find the 1989 Topps Traded set. I haven't even opened this one yet. I found this for $10 in a card shop, but I was able to pick up those Ken Griffey Jr. Topps Traded, which is his first Topps rookie card. Now, it's obviously not the Upper Deck one, but for me, that is a cool one, and I was super glad to find that as well. Okay, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here, the top 3. My number 3 card that I found and picked up this year, this is a Ronald Acuna Jr. Topps Chrome Update, I believe, HMT, yeah. Topps Chrome Update rookie card from 2018. And, wow, I had just happened to be, I can't even remember, I was watching someone else's video where they were looking for this card, or they pulled this card, and then there was a card show the very next weekend, and a dealer had it, and it's a guy who I've actually become pretty good pals with, I guess. I go to stop at his little display every time, who has a card shop in Kansas City, and he had this card and gave me a pretty cool price on it. I think I paid $20 for this and another card, the Robert Acuna Jr. Topps Chrome rookie card from Topps Update. I just like the fact that it's a different photo. It's not, like the bat up, bat down photo that is with his regular Topps Update card, or obviously the bat down is a ridiculous card that I don't have yet, but that's just a cool photo, and Acuna is a guy who I think is just going to continue to impress people throughout the next upcoming years because his talent is limitless. And it still pains me, Ronald Acuna Jr. could have been a member of the Kansas City Royals. He is the cousin of Alcides Escobar, if you didn't know that. And he grew up doing a lot of stuff in the Royals training facilities, coming to their camps, and there's a whole internet rabbit hole you can go down to of why Ronald Acuna Jr. Could have signed with the Royals, and then the Braves came in at the last minute and kind of swooped him up. Okay, these last 2 are pretty big cards. I'm going to be honest. For me to find either one of these 2 cards this year has been just absolutely bonkers. Here's my number 2 card, and maybe this should be number 1. I almost had a hard time picking number 1 and number 2. Is this Mickey Mantle Topps Sporting News card? You can see, though, it has a little bit of damage. Someone had wrote in there with a pencil. Looks like there's a little slash mark, and then under here. This was a card that I found in a just flea market, a random tiny flea market I'd never been in before. And they just had a few baseball cards and football cards, and then this was one of them. And I had never in my life purchased or owned a Mickey Mantle card, and so to find a Mickey Mantle card for a decent price was amazing, and I jumped on it in a spot I would never thought I would ever find a card. I didn't really even plan on stopping in that flea market that day. It was just kind of, I just happened to drive by it on my way to a different one, and to get a Mickey Mantle card, the first one in my collection, is just absolutely amazing. You see, obviously, there's kind of a little crease right there, and the corner's a little bit rounded, but you know what? I don't care, because this is a card that I honestly never thought I would be able to get a Mickey Mantle card. And so if you've been a fan of Topps Heritage, you remember that this was kind of one of the insert cards in Topps Heritage from last year. They would put current players on cards that kind of look like that. But there is the original Mickey Mantle card. Super, super awesome. Okay, guys, I don't know how I'm going to beat that, but here's the card I chose for number 1, and there's a crazy story on this one as well, and so maybe the story on this one helps. Here's my top card that I found and purchased. this year, and it is the 2011 Mike Trout rookie card. Now, this is a dinged up version of the Mike Trout rookie card. I've told this story before on my channel if you've been a viewer for a long time. I found this card on Facebook. A person was just selling cards randomly on Facebook, and they had taken a picture of it. The picture was even like turned sideways where you couldn't even really see it. And it kind of looked like the Trout was there, but it was kind of hard to tell because the photo was kind of taken from far away and there was only one picture. And it looked like it was a Trout, and so I drove and met the guy, and he was selling, and I had no idea what shape it was in. I had no idea if that was actually the Trout. I had no idea if it was a reprint or a real deal. It looked like it was, all the other cards in kind of the picture were also from 2011. I recognized the Eric Thames card from playing MLB The Show 20, if any of you all ever play MLB The Show 20. And so I thought it was a legit card, but I just met the guy and had to buy it, you know, sight unseen. He just kind of had him in a Ziploc bag. And so I was just absolutely going crazy because I drove up and I'm like, man, someone else is going to jump on this guy and tell him, you know, that this card is amazing and he shouldn't sell it to me. And then, like, what shape is it going to be in? I'd never drove and met a guy, you know, just randomly at a location to pick up a card. But I did purchase the card. You can see it looks like it's been dropped numerous times because the corners are dinged up. Every single corner has some damage to it, which is fine. You can kind of see there's a surface spot here above the RC logo. But it doesn't even matter. This is a card that I've always wanted to try and get. See the top right there, and then there's the top left. It's majorly dinged up. It's obviously a person who wasn't really a big baseball collector, but was just trying to offload some of their cards. And it was just a card that I couldn't believe that I found on Facebook of all places. And so I purchased it just sight unseen, paid the guy a little bit more than what he was asking, because what he was asking was, if this was the legit card, would have been way too cheap. And so I paid him a little bit more, and then I just obviously had to pull the card out of the Ziploc bag and see if that was it. And it was. And it was obviously all dinged up and not going to be a super highly graded card or even a decently graded card, but just the story of meeting a guy on Facebook, driving an hour or so to meet him. It was about to be the next day, I believe, was the parade in Kansas City for the Chiefs Super Bowl win. And so it was supposed to snow the next day. I'm like, nope, I see this card now. I better just drive up there right now. I just got off work and I just sat down. I'm like, what is this? And so I drove up there after getting off work and met the guy, super nice. And then I have a 2011 Mike Trout. So eventually I'll probably get that one graded. I don't know if I'll just get it graded as authentic or what, because it's not going to grade even decently high. But it's just a cool card to have in my collection. Maybe one day I can get one that's in a little bit better shape. So there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry this video got a little long. We're coming up on almost 20 minutes here. These are my top 20 cards that I picked up throughout the year. Cards that I did not pull in packs. You've got a few that I purchased at card shows. Here. I purchased both these cards at a card show. This one at a card show. This one I just found in a random yard sale. These were at card shows, card show. This one I found at a flea market, and then this one I found on Facebook, the Mike Trout. Probably the #1 card, at least in my opinion, although this, you could easily flip-flop 1 and 2 right there. Those are obviously head and shoulders, at least for me, above everyone else. So thank you so much for watching this video, guys, and supporting my channel. I've still got my 1,000 subscriber giveaway video I'm planning, and hopefully I can get recorded in the next day or two. I hope everyone has a great New Year's Eve. If you do not watch this until after New Year's, hopefully you had a great New Year's Eve and you have a great 2021. I'll catch you all in another video, everyone. Thank you so much for watching.